If your hands feel cramped or stuck from typing all day or whatever it is that you do all day, here's a lot of hand stretches for you to do. Just pick and choose, don't get shit confused. You could do it in ones or twos or multiples. Here we go. Let's begin this first section with wrist stretches. So first off, we have the basic wrist circles. Notice how they go in a circle. Obviously, we want to go both directions. And right now, I'm doing it very passively. Passively in the sense that it's just moving on its own and I'm not applying a lot of pressure. Now, to do it actively, take your hand. Fully extend all your fingers. Notice how all my fingers are fully extended to their max, including the thumb. With your hand extended, slightly squeeze your forearm, right? From here, proceed to do your wrist circles. Obviously, go the other way as well. Now, if you don't like the idea of fully extending your fingers and squeezing it that way, you can also slightly close your fist or your hand into half a fist. From half a fist, you will do the same thing as well. And you can also even fully close your fist to do wrist circles as well. From here, you can take your wrist, you go, once you go, you can fully extend your elbow. Very important to fully extend your elbow. Add some flexion to your elbow, add some flexion to your forearm. From here, close your wrist down. Using your other hand, you want to slightly put some pressure on it. You should feel the stretch going along here. Now, when you apply pressure, there's a tendency to relax the forearm. So let's say you pull and you relax your forearm, and now to re-engage, if you flex your forearm even a little bit, you will feel the stretch intensify. Of course, we have going down, which also means we have going down, or this direction. From here, same thing, fully extend your elbow. Take your wrist, crank it back. Take your other hand, assist it, pull your hand backwards, and from here, squeeze your forearm. See that little bit of squeeze? That little bit of squeeze will help intensify the stretch. Now we also have where you grab your thumb. Very important, be careful, very important. Grab your thumb, straighten your arm. Slowly tilt your wrist this direction. If you just immediately tilt it really hard, you might actually snap something. So grab your thumb very, very slowly with a straight arm, tilt it this way. You will feel a stretch going along here. Now you can always apply a little bit of pressure with your other hand, a very small amount of pressure with your other hand. And of course you can squeeze your arm to intensify the stretch a little bit. Now we have going down, which means we also have going upwards. Same thing, take it. Now, well, unwrap your thumb, take your hand, bring it up. Once you bring it up, slightly pull your hand back. It feels kind of awkward really. But from here, you slightly squeeze and it should be a slight stretch, just a very slight stretch going this direction. Now you prefer a little bit more proximity type stretching. You just simply take your hand, your other hand from here, crank your wrist backwards. All right, now you're not just applying pressure with the right arm, you're also trying to actively bring your left arm backwards. So actively bring the left arm back, push it back, and then from here, activate your forearms, put a little bit of squeeze into them, right? We put the squeeze because we want to be strong in this position. Nice. Now, of course, there's also going the other direction as well, just like that. Now you can also stretch both wrists at the same time like that, or both wrists at the same time like that. You can also grab your goddamn hands together and start doing this shit where you do this wrist circle type thing, going both directions. And not only can you go both directions, you can also change up which thumb is on top, which will make you a more even symmetrical human being, which is good. Now that you're on the floor, you could take both hands or one hand at a time. One hand at a time gives you a little bit more mobility. Two hands just means you're doing it both at once. So in this case, let me use two hands. Two hands placed on the ground. From here, extend your elbow straight and then lean over your hands. This not only helps strengthen your wrist, but it will also stretch the underside of your forearms. There we go. Now, when you're leaning over your hands, you want to make sure that the pressure is going into your knuckles. Of course, you could take it even one step further and apply that pressure to your fingers like that. Now you're stretching your fingers as well. But then you still want to maintain the wrist stretch. You just bring it down and just lean super far over until all the pressure is in your fingers. So one more time, you could start with the pressure on your heel of the hand. From here, transfer it to your knuckles. From here, you could transfer it to your fingers, whichever you prefer. One hand or two hands at a time is up to you. Now you can also do that exact same stretch, but just invert it just like that. One more time. Your hand is facing forward. Just pivot on the middle finger. Apply pressure downwards. I do recommend doing this one arm at a time. It's a little bit more comfortable. From here, the same principle applies. You can start with the pressure on your heel, which is less stretch. On your knuckles, which is optimal stretch, and I do recommend. Or on your fingers, which you're really going to hit everything. Keep in mind when you're like this, your elbow is straight. when you're in the stretch position. To intensify the stretch, add a little flex into your forearm. Now, because we could stretch this side, it's only natural that we could stretch this side. Now, observe this. The heel, there's not much stretching going on here. Apply the pressure on your knuckles. Don't go to your fingertips. It don't work like that for this one. So just maintain on the knuckle. But the cool thing about this one is, well, yes, you can still flex, but you can also rotate it on your knuckles to, isolate whichever stretch you're trying to feel, right? So let's say I'm doing this way. I'm gonna focus on my big two knuckles, my middle two knuckles, and on my small knuckles. This way, I'm doing a rowing motion and getting the stretch in all directions. It's a little bit minute and a bit pedantic, but now you know. Next, let's focus on stretching the fingers. We start with standing stretches and not using any particular assistance. First off, we have the very, very good open, close, open, close, open, close. What this does is it pumps blood into your arm. It gives it movement. If you don't know this, movement is healing. Movement is always good. You feel stiff, therefore you try to move, therefore you actively move. That's good. Bam, 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 bam. Don't be passive. Don't just No, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open, right? Be active about it. So opening hands, closing hands, very good. Next. Not only can you open and close your hands, you can also spread, close, spread, close, spread, close, spread, close. One more time, spread, close, spread, close, spread, close, spread, close. You can also crack/stretch your fingers by having one finger down, bring your thumb over, crack, cluck, cluck, cluck. Other side, cluck, 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 cluck. You can also take your one thumb, take your other thumb, from pushing behind right here, you can make it pop as a little stretch. And then you can also close your hand on your thumb. I don't really recommend you do this one, but you can close your hand on your thumb and you can pop it that way. You can also bring your hands, interlace them together. Notice how my right hand is a little bit more forward on my digits right here as opposed to being down here. So I move it here. And if you add a twist and you crack your fingers that way. Same thing for the other direction. You can also bring your fingers together like this and let them domino into each other just like this by applying a good amount of pressure. And now don't forget your thumbs, you can also do that too. The thumbs, bam, just like that as well. So you can also do thumbs, fingers, wee, opening up and closing like that, or like this, or like this, or like that, and then go back into this. With your fingers, you can actually take your fingers and open up your other fingers so that you really open them in terms of stretching them like this, like a big ass V. From here, your other V, yay, and more Vs, and even over here, more Vs. And do that, do that, do that. Now you can also take your fingers and do circles with them, right? Right, we want to make sure that the finger can not only go up and down or side to side, we want to make sure to go in big, nice circles going both directions using all your fingers and whatnot, right? Including the thumb. The thumb is a really important finger. You can also do this shit where you just move your fingers up and down with them being nice and straight, right? Just make sure there's just some movement in them, make sure that your joints are working nice and well. Again, movement is very important. Now, using the floor, we can help stretch our fingers even more. So what I want you to do is take your hand and close it into a fist, but not a full fist, just a fist to a point where you can see your fingernails. From here, you could actually press down and stretch this closed position, which will help stretch all of this just like this. Now, most people will be able to do it just fine, and it's just fine. But from here to intensify, all you gotta do is crank up your hand to apply more pressure down into your nails. For just one finger to really emphasize, it'll look something like that, but more on your fingernail. 4 fingers, emphasize, apply more pressure down that way. Of course, you could take your fingers, press it down, and crank on it like that, kind of like what we did for the wrist. But notice this time, my wrists are not down because I'm trying to focus more on just my fingertips. Now, when you have your fingers like this, not only are you applying pressure down, you'll have the option to go left and right. So apply more pressure to the pinky, ring, middle, and pointer, and then you just roll around and repeat it that way. Now from here, you could go like a goddamn gun, place it on the ground and apply pressure downwards, really spreading this out, making it feel good. Don't forget, you can crack your knuckles if you feel like it simply by cracking, 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 cracking. Notice how I did the top part of my hand with the first crack, and then I transitioned down to these knuckles for my second crack. Obviously, my hands aren't cracked right now because I already cracked them. Second way of cracking, you could pull your fingers, wonk, 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 wonk. I'm sure you guys know how that goes. And I already mentioned it earlier, but you could crack your fingers by twisting them. Now, let's talk about the twist. With your middle finger or whatever finger you want, apply a little bit of wiggle room, and you're not trying to move it at the base, you're trying to move it right here in the middle joint. just to make sure it's still working, make sure it's mobile. Don't obviously overdo it. Just playing a little bit, just make sure, hey, little fingy, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay, sir. Don't worry about it. That's all you really got to do, really. And to implement this shit into your lifestyle, it's better for you to obviously just do it throughout your typing career, or I don't know what the fuck you do, your hands career. I'll just do it throughout the day, 3-4 minutes at a time, and your hands should feel vastly better. Now you have a lot of options to stretch your hands. Don't be remiss. Stretch your goddamn hands. And I'll see you next time, partner. Peace.